Good morning. This is Dr. Lorenzo Neal bringing you Tuesday Blessings this wonderful first Tuesday of February as we embark further into Black Heritage Month. I posted in my social media that I wanted to pay homage to those black female ancestors who served as midwives, maids, and domestic servitude for Lord who knows how long in homes of white people. The white people call them family, and if you ever seen the movie The Help, you have an idea of how valuable those women were to those individuals. I mean, there were women who raised white children as their own and then had to leave that home and go to their own home that was lacking and raise their own children. They pulled double duty. They maintained two households under such duress with great humility and strength. So I wanted to take this time to pay homage to them, pay homage to those women who I would say were robbed of their humanity, but at the same time were valued because of their humanity, because of their love, because of their skills, because of all of that. They were valued, but at the same time they would leave that place and go to another one. So I am grateful for those women, the countless names, and the countless number of hours, years of service that they put in to help those households be stable, and yet in some cases their own household was destabilized because of that. But thank God for change. I'm grateful for those who did that. But what is disheartening to me now is because I see those women, some who are now great grandparents, some who are grandparents, I see their descendants, their daughters, their granddaughters, their great granddaughters lacking in that sense of that care. There are some, and I'm not saying this in a negative way or with any negative intent, but there are some women who don't have that sensitivity to care for their own children, and their ancestors, their living ancestors, their great grandmothers, their grandmothers, are carrying the burden. They're trying to carry the burden. Sorry, I'm in the airport on my way to DC for an event. They're trying to carry that burden, and they're trying to do so in the way that they were raised, in the way that they raised their children or their and it's not working. It's seeming to go against what they were, how they were raised, and it's really, really, I don't want to use the word tragic, but it's coming across that because we're seeing in the black community so many single mothers and even single grandmothers. Yes, there are single grandmothers, and I'm talking about single grandmothers. I'm speaking particularly within my age group. There are women who are in their 40s who have grandchildren, and it's not that it's unusual, but when I think about my classmates, some of my classmates who have grandchildren, I'm like, wow, because I realize, man, time does go by fast, but but I see how they struggle with raising their children's children, and I'm like, wow, you shouldn't have to go through that. And I must admit that I'm complicit in this situation and circumstance. I'm a single black man. I have no children of my own, and being a pastor as well as being a single black man, and not doing all that I can to empower these women. It's shameful of me but it's shameful on the further reaching aspects of our community. Um, to see that these children are growing up in homes where there are no fathers, no male fathers. There are men in the house. There are plenty of men in the house. In some cases, there are more than one man. When I was teaching, I'll never forget. I had this one student. It seemed like every other month or so, and I'm not exaggerating, she had a new stepdaddy. And at that time, where I was teaching was a small town. It was a small town in rural Louisiana, South Louisiana, and this child, her father, biological father, was not in the picture. I believe he was in prison. The mother had a plethora of boyfriends. Sometimes some lasted longer than the others, and then that 7 or so years that I was in that school district, I only saw one male figure. One male figure actually stayed long enough to develop a relationship with this child where he was interested in trying to be vested in her life. He would come to. I was a band director. He would come to the band practice, pick her up, talk to me about what was going on in the home, and apparently, he and the mother lived together. And when they separated, I saw her behavior retract back to that same attitude. Who mama dating now? And I was disheartened by that. But think about how many times that happened, how frequent that is, and how prevalent that may be in black communities, where children basically get this skewed view of what a relationship is. They're thinking, okay, well, my job is to find a man or to find a girl for young boys, to get as much as I can from a woman, and I don't have to I don't have to put out anything other than my sexual prowess, and that's a scary thought when I think about that. To think that we now live in a community where the culture has stayed, basically endorsing this idea that, man, you don't have to be committed just as long as you can do something or be something to a woman. Or woman, you don't have to rely on a man. You're independent. You can do it by yourself. For some women, there may be some merit to that, but overall, it's really hurting our community. But I said all that to say that in this day and age, where as we celebrate our Heritage Month, that we need to be empowering. Don't just give out the first. We hear enough about the first black this, the first black that, the first, all of this, the more prominent persons in black history. That's good, wonderful to know. But we need to focus on who did what for us, and not the ones who made the but we need to focus on the ones who literally, gave up all for us. And those women that I mentioned earlier, those women did not, and I'm not discounting the men, because the men had to do the same thing. And, they worked in the factories for hours, or they labored as sharecroppers, or they did minuscule, they did demeaning jobs, and to be called boy by a little boy. I never forget, I was with my grandfather one time, and my grandfather, I love this man to death, but I never forget, we were, and I was a little boy, and we were going, and he was going to a home, and they were giving clothes to him for us, and I saw him say yes sir to a boy who was my age. I must have been about 11, no more than 12. But to hear my grown grandfather say yes sir to a little boy kind of made me angry. And it was what it was. But I understand he did that out of respect he did that out of his training. That was he grew up in the 30s and 40s where that was the thing. You know, you said Mister and yes sir. No matter what the age of a white person was, that's what you did. But I know I got on a little rant there. I got off tangent there. But again, I want us to be able to go back into the depths of our collective soul. Our collective soul as blacks. And while we celebrate those of acclaim and first, we need to celebrate and honor those unnamed, those unsung persons who did what they did for us who were to come. That we have what we have now because of them. That's the empowering moment. Again, I thank you. This is Dr. Lorenzo Neal. Listen, I want you to hit the like button and subscribe. Follow me on all my social media. Thank you for supporting me. And if you're not a supporter, you can do so. You can be a patron. Simply go to patreon.com/Lorenzo T. Neal and you support me there. And I appreciate all that you are doing to help me. And thank you. You guys have a wonderful time. Blessings.